right. I hope everybody's having a great night. It's a little bit after 10:30 here in Chicago. Represent your city, rep your city. Everybody on Facebook, I am representing Chi-Town. Everybody on Kick, Twitch, and YouTube, I am representing the city of Chicago. We got Richmond in the building. We got the beautiful and lovely Arnell representing New Orleans. We got the beautiful and lovely Sharon representing Dallas. We got San Jose in the building. We got Buffalo, New York here. Rep your city, rep your city, rep your city, rep your city. Much love to the ladies. Always a pleasure, ladies. Ladies, send in your beautiful pictures, okay? Send in your beautiful pictures, ladies. So yeah, ladies, send those beautiful pictures in so I can add you to that lovely presentation. You know, we always want to respect the ladies, show love to the queens. You all look marvelous. So ladies, get in there. Make sure you get your picture in there. I won't tell nobody who you are. All they'll see is a picture. So yeah, send those pictures to Pharaoh El-Aton at Yahoo. Let's get that video up to 10 minutes, right? I think we got about 3 minutes, something like that. 2 or 3 minutes. Let's get it up to 10 minutes. Let's get 100 beautiful ladies on it. We get 100 beautiful ladies. That'll be a great intro. So come in, represent your city, represent your city. I got a lot to talk about. Now, for those that want to know why am I beating this drum on Pan-Africanism, because this needs to be documented. This needs to be documented, and I am more than qualified to document it. I was here when some of these younger Pan-Africans came on the scene, so they really are not in my league. If I seen you come on the scene, what could you tell me? What? I'm one of the original people on YouTube that had his own channel and just talked himself. I really didn't chase behind programs like Sonetta TV. It was always Pharaoh said that. Before many of these content creators was standing on their own 2 feet. A lot of them is talking crazy, but they're really following me. So if you're sitting here in front of this screen like this talking, and you wasn't doing it when I was doing it, what they tell you? I'm a boss. I'm just saying. I don't think I'm Big Meech or Larry Hoover. I don't think I'm Big Meech or Larry Hoover. Hallelujah. So come on in while I document this history. Pan-Africanism has done absolutely nothing for Black Americans. Zero. It has no factor. It hasn't contributed anything at all. Nothing. It's done nothing. It's done nothing for Black Americans, Foundation of Black Americans. It's done nothing for Africa. It's done nothing for Jamaica. It's done nothing for the Virgin Islands. It's done nothing for Black Europeans. It's done nothing for Brazil and Black South Americans. It's done nothing for Black Canadians. Pan-Africanism has achieved nothing. If you're a Pan-African and you disagree, type the achievements in the chat. Tell me what it achieved. Show me something today that we're benefiting from because of Pan-Africanism. Because you must know something more than me, because I don't see anything. One thing about consciousness or Pan-Africanism, whatever you want to call it, it's a make-believe world. It's not a real world. And so when you get on social media like YouTube and stuff and you watch these Pan-African type conversation, these Black conscious conversations, you ever notice when you get off and go outside, the difference? You ever know the difference in the real world and the pro-Black internet world? Have you ever noticed once you get off of YouTube, you don't see none of that? Right now, we're trying to push reparations, but it's pretty much the same. You go outside, do you see anything about reparations? I see nothing about reparations outside. So we got to work on that. But the great thing about Foundation of Black America is you don't have to see it. Just like we call ourselves African Americans or Black Americans. And so lineage is something we don't have to see. All we got to do is get everybody to identify like that and get it on the Census Bureau. So that's the good thing about that. It's not a movement. It's a lineage. So they try to talk about FBA like it's a movement, which just shows you that many of these brothers, especially they're not the brightest bulbs in the lamp. When you see some Pan-African or some Black whatever, and you see them talking about Foundation of Black American like it's a movement, this shows you these are not the people to follow. They're not the brightest bulbs in the lamp. Typically, when you're like me and you're involved with the Black movements, typically you're around about 87% losers that are extra Black because they can't achieve nothing else in life, basically. So if you can achieve and you are a businessman or businesswoman, you kind of stand out a little bit. because these type of ideologies are loser. This is where all the losers go. The underachievers, the ones that aren't good at nursing, that aren't doctors, that aren't good businessmen and businesswomen, that aren't great musicians. That's the losers circle. And so as a young brother coming up around a lot of Pan-Africanism and stuff, I had to stay off to myself in order to make money and achieve, because it was just a bunch of losers. The winners, they'll put on their little kente cloth or whatever and come to an event on the weekend, but that's that. They don't really get involved with that. They'll come to the African festival, they'll come to Kwanzaa, but that's as far as it goes. Once that's over, they go back and be regular blacks. They don't be involved with that. And these brothers and sisters you be seeing having them fake black conscious names, they about as phony as a $2 bill. They never be around long. They don't be around long. They pop up and they disappear. They pop up and they disappear. That's why if you're a black conscious content creator, you can't keep no fan base, or your audience won't grow, because they're going to disappear. They're going to be Pan-African for about 18 months. You know what I'm saying? And then they disappear. I swear to God. These is facts. Of course, people ain't going to like what I'm saying, but I can tell you this. That a lot of brothers that don't like what I'm saying right now that's involved in these situations, I guarantee you in 5 years and 7 years, if we still got this kind of social, they're going to say, yeah, that brother, he told me right. I got involved with that and it didn't go nowhere. And I got married and had some children. I had to let that go. I had to feed my babies. I ain't had time to be on the internet talking about no fake ideologies. I had to find some food. I had to feed my babies. I had to pay my mortgage. I had to pay my car note. I ain't had no time sitting around philosophizing about no black stuff. If you look at a lot of these ones that beat the Pan-African drum the most, they just trying to sell bootleg Pan-African videos and membership on YouTube. They trying to pimp, they trying to pimp it. They trying to sell stuff. They trying to get you to sign up to their Patreon and watch pro-black stuff. But they making money. What you making from watching that trash? You know what I'm saying? Go watch them. First thing they're going to tell you, sign up and watch all my comedic videos. You can sign, you could pay this much and this much and that much. You know what I'm saying? And the only one benefit is them when you pay them. You ain't benefiting nothing. That's one reason. That's one reason, I got some enemies. I'm probably really disliked. I'm not really liked too much about certain things because first, I've been doing it a long time. Second, I'm really honest. And third, I'm a little rough around the edges. So they don't want to go on the dark side. So they really just don't like me because I got a unique life. My life is weird, and I work to get back a little positive, I worked hard. I used to be really positive, and then I was really dark and dangerous. And I kind of worked to get back like this. It feels kind of good to tell jokes and laugh, because there was a time where I never would have said nothing funny or been over here talking to nobody. I was a monster. So this is good therapy for me. I gotta try to, I got PTSD. So I'm working on controlling the monster. YouTube is really helping me a lot. YouTube has been a great therapy for me because I can't threaten people and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't lying. I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't threaten people. So YouTube has helped a lot. Because the regular me, I would threaten you. I'd be like, what I'm saying? And like really beyond that. So YouTube is helping me. Also, the Cook County Jail helped me a lot. 4 months in the Cook County Jail helped. I don't want to go back in there. This close to the penitentiary. So, and then my last queen helped me, raising 4 children, having a baby. And then the rappers helped me. I had these young rappers. They was street dudes. They was from 4 different gangs. And, now I'm responsible for them. So I have to kind of clean it up. I can't pull them out of the streets and I'm in the streets. So, I'm really grateful I was able to turn everything around. And then my father was at home by himself. He was getting old, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, or mostly Alzheimer's, I think. So I was there taking care of him and I started going live. And one of the first people I was introduced to going live was Tariq Nasheed. That's why I'm always going to hold Tariq Nasheed in the high regards, because I was told about him from a GD, a young GD rapper that I was doing. And he was like, Pharaoh, you been watching Hidden Colors? I'm like, no, what's that? Like, man, it's good, bro. So I got on I think I want to say MySpace, but it might have been Twitter. And I seen somebody advertising Hidden Colors, and it was Tariq. And so, I got like a positive vibe for Tariq because the hood told me about him. He had the streets. Gang members told me about him. Facts. Y'all just don't know, dude's powerful. Gang members, Chicago gang members told me about Hidden Colors. That's a fact. That's how I found out about Tariq from a GD. And that was like a big part of my introduction to the internet. You know what I'm saying? So I mess with Tariq. I know for sure that he has affected the Black community greatly. It's amazing how people overlook Hidden Colors and the great work of Hidden Colors and how much is done historically for younger people. So salute to that, brother. And so I just want to document stuff. And I was a Pan-African, and it takes a lot of love for the people when you're in something and you put a lot of your life in it, and for you to come tell them it's trash. That takes a lot of seriousness for your people, because most people, they ain't gonna want to tell you that what they was doing ain't really that. I'm one of the few. I was a Pan-African before a lot of these big mouths. They wasn't here. Them was babies. I got babies talking to me. It's like, little boy, I don't even know you, little boy. I remember, boy, I had been to Hawaii. I had been in Hawaii in the mountains growing, back to LA, back to Chicago for you even. You know what I'm saying? Some of these dudes is talking crazy. Man, I had been a militant, moved to California, moved to Hawaii in the hills growing, moved back to LA, moved back to Chicago some years, and then they popped out. These little boys, they wasn't even here when Kwanzaa was really big. They wasn't here when the push for Winnie Mandela and all that. They was little boys. They really wasn't here at the height of Pan-Africanism. Some of your big bad Pan-Africans, they wasn't even here when Pan-Africanism was at its highest point in the United States. They wasn't even here. They was somewhere eating Cracker Jacks and running to the store to get potato chips. That's on my soul. Little boys. They wasn't active like that. When I went to see Dr. Ben, they was at home watching Sesame Street. And I went to see Dr. Ben, what, 79, 79, 80? Where they was at. They seen the old ass Dr. Ben, right? I seen the young Dr. Ben. That's a fact. A lot of them, I would have whooped their daddy. I would have hurt their daddy. You know, boy, I would have put, I would have did your daddy dirty, little boy. Yeah, I would have did your daddy. Your daddy wouldn't even have played with me. On my soul. Yeah, your daddy. You know what I'm saying? Your mama would have been at me. That's another story for another day with all due disrespect. You know what I'm saying? I might have been your stepdaddy if I would have met your mama. You know what I'm saying? If your daddy wasn't there, I'm just saying, little boy. You know what I'm saying? That's another story for another day. I'm going to behave. My daughter told me, Daddy, stop starting stuff. She be watching me. Baby, if you watch it. She told me, stop starting. Stop. What I'm going to do with that? I'm like, they ain't going to do nothing. If they do something, you ain't going to do nothing but go to jail. Stop. I say, you right, though. She right. But I'm like an old R&B song. I can't help myself. I mess with you and nobody else. Dun, 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 dun. Goofy ass. Stupid ass. You know that I hate you. I can't help myself. You's a buster and nobody else. Dun, 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 dun. That's it, your buster ass. But today I'm going to give you some history, okay? We're going to get into it. Come on in. Now, Pan-Africanism has been a failure, a total failure. At this point, it's done. It's never coming back. There's no chance of Pan-Africanism catching on. So if you're a young, especially young black man, do not waste your energy into Pan-Africanism. It's done. It's never, ever going to catch on, ever. It's never going to happen. For Pan-Africanism to catch on, you would need a lot of people. And right now, economics trump everything. And young black men and young black women, they trying to get some money. People are concentrating on economics. That's why FBA is big. That's why the push for reparations is big, because there's money involved. We want our money. But right now, anything that's not financial based is going nowhere. And with so many brothers and sisters recently going to Africa and leaving, you look like a fool talking about Africa. Because all the brothers and sisters that went to Ghana trying to get the hell out of there. All the brothers and sisters went to Kenya trying to get the hell out of there. All the brothers and sisters that went to all them African countries is trying to get the hell from over there. And the Africans in Africa are trying to get the hell out of there. So pushing Africa when Africans is trying to get out of Africa, you look crazy. Encouraging Pan-Africanism at a time when you got Islamic terrorists over there and things going to get shaky is crazy. And the Pan-Africans was always dusty and broke. They never had any type, Pan-Africanism never had any financial plan. Never. Even with Marcus Garvey, he had a little doll factory, but he bought some raggedy ships that couldn't even sail. How was that a good financial plan? Now, many people, like myself, say he was a con man, that he collected this much money and only spent this much money for some junk. I don't believe he accidentally bought no junk. I believe Marcus Garvey took a whole lot of money and bought some junk and pocketed the rest of the money. The feds knew what he did and locked him up for being a fraud and told him they'll let him out as long as he get out and shut up. There is no way Mr. Smart Marcus Garvey bought a bunch of ships that wasn't seaworthy. He was a two-bit con man, basically. And they sold a lot of illegal substances out of his headquarters. And go watch Boardwalk Empire, and you'll see the guy that's a pimp. He was from the Garvey movement, a Caribbean dude. Go check it out. The Europeans know. Go check out Boardwalk Empire. And that pimp with the Caribbean pimp, light-skinned guy, he was a part of the Garvey movement. So Marcus Garvey was a scumbag, a liar and a cheat and a con man. But the Rastas couldn't say nothing because he represented Jamaica. So they tried to save face. It was the only person they got. They don't have a MLK. They don't have a Malcolm X. They don't have a Rosa Parks. You know what I mean? They don't have nothing. So they had to uphold Marcus Garvey. That's all they got. They got Bob Marley, but he was just a singer. He was just a musician, so he's not a leader. But we're going to talk about this because Pan-Africanism, for you young people, I'm not trying to trash Pan-Africanism. I'm not trying to. I am trashing it, but that's not the point. The point is to make sure you all don't waste your time in it. Like Sarah Suden said, he is wasting his time. It's going to go nowhere. He's never going to go to Africa. And every 10 years, the Pan-African movement get all new faces. Nobody stays in the Pan-African movement. Have y'all ever noticed, if you're older, that you never see the same Pan-Africans? We had a group of Pan-Africans in the 80s. By the time you got to the 90s, they was gone. Then we had a group of Pan-Africans in the 90s. By the time you got to the 2000s, every time you look up, y'all notice there's some new Pan-Africans. If you go look at everybody that's going to make a video against me, all of them is brand new Pan-Africans. Facts. The only ones that's been around for a while is Dr. Mayat and Seti. Everybody else is gone. Dr. Smalls is whatever pays at the time. He's a Muslim. He's a Pan-African. He's, whatever. He ain't nothing steady. I wouldn't listen to him, He's a little weaselly, Bro, how's you all this stuff? You got dreadlocks 1 minute, you're Muslim the next minute you black power, the next minute you talking up for black Americans with Sinetta. The next minute you dissing black Americans. With all due respect, Dr. Smalls, how can I say this? Shut up. Sit down, retire. Okay? You're washed. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Smalls, yeah. Shut up. Because you're already Dr. Smalls, and now you're Dr. Teeny Weeny. And if you just keep on, you're gonna be Dr. Itsy Bitsy. You're gonna be Dr. Itsy Bitsy. Just let it go while you teeny weeny, while you Dr. Teeny Weeny. You already fell off from small. You was already small. You was already Dr. Small. Then you kept talking. Then you went down to teeny weeny. Bro, shut up. You're gonna be Itsy Bitsy in a minute. You're going to be micro. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Microdot. You know what I'm saying? Bro, shut up. Retire. Go sit down. That big Pharaoh, I got it. You know what I'm saying? I got it. You know what I'm saying? That man is a chameleon. Talking about somebody, the police. Yeah, somebody is definitely the police. You know what I'm saying? You a chameleon, bro. Why you keep changing? Why use all this different stuff? I don't trust no brother that's a bunch of different stuff. Yeah, I don't trust. If you too much different stuff, I can't trust you. He too much different stuff. You know what I mean? He done been everything. That man done been everything. You can't trust him. He a little policey. I ain't saying he the police, but I don't know about dude, I don't know, man. He. That's why I don't mess with the Black Power movement. I mess with none of them movements because there's a lot of COINTELPRO. I ain't saying he COINTELPRO, but he might not be Cohen, but he probably TELPRO. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying he COINTELPRO, but he probably TEL. You know what I'm saying? He probably TEL no pro. You know what I'm saying? He act like you TEL. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I've been out here for a while. I dodged a lot of bootleg Black Panthers and all of that. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it all. I've been out here, you know what I'm saying? You just don't get, I'm going to be 68 in February. You just don't be out here like that without seeing stuff. I started doing this when I was 20. So I got 48 years in the game. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing this longer than some of these dudes been alive. Right? So it's like, the problem with Pan-Africanism, it keep flipping. Y'all ain't noticed maybe if you're young, you don't know. But if you're older, even if you just been here with since Sarnett and them, y'all ain't noticed how I keep flipping? None of the Sarnetta dudes is around no more. You notice that? Every time you look up, every 10 years, there's some new Pan-Africans, right? Like all these Pan-Africans that'll come troll me now, they was never here. They brand new. You don't have no long-term Pan-Africans. I got to give it to Seti. He probably one of the only ones. But it's probably not by choice. He probably can't be nothing else at this point. I don't think he got no skills to do nothing else. Don't look like it. So he's just Pan in Africa. But it keep flipping. If you've been watching it as long as me, the Pan-Africans from back in the late 70s, they've been gone. The ones in the 80s, gone. Yeah, she changed the Hebrew Israelite. Yep. A lot of them, they be like chameleons. They change. They be this, then they be that. You know what I'm saying? So you see the sister, you know what I'm saying? She be a Pan-African with a little red, black, and green and stuff on. You might see her like 1981. Then you bump into her 1987. She in the Nation of Islam. Or she a Hebrew Israelite now. You know what I'm saying? She with a different dude. You know, I know one sister, she was a Hebrew Israelite. Next time I seen her, she was with a pimp with a little booty skirt on. I said, what the hell? So they change a lot. They jump from belief system to belief system. So by the time you get to, because the strongest Pan-Africanism was in the 80s with reggae. So that was the biggest Pan-Africanism ever been. It's all down here now, but Pan-Africanism was the biggest in the 80s. But the problem is the strongest aspect of Pan-Africanism was reggae, and reggae wasn't an organization, had no central location. So you just had to be a Pan-African on your own. So then Pan-Africanism couldn't compete because at that time, Farrakhan was popping. So the Nation of Islam dominated the 80s during the Pan-African era. So Pan-Africanism was solely dependent on reggae. Black Americans have never been strong Pan-Africans, ever. Tell me a time when Black Americans been strong Pan-Africans. Never. Black Americans was black and beautiful when in the 60s. I'm black and I'm proud, right? And then we was Black Power, but Black Power wasn't Pan-African. The Black Panthers wasn't Pan-African. They was about feeding people here. They was about schools here. They was about school programs here. They wasn't about no Africa. And the first time Pan-African started happening was in the 80s, and it was all based around Africa. This is a Pan-African album, right? All the African flags, right? He from Jamaica, right? Trinidadian Rastas from Jamaica. Black Rastas of America. that this was the height of Pan-Africanism. But the reggae was the strongest thing, but he had nowhere to go to be a Pan-African. You understand? And the rap was actually late 80s, really 90s. If you look at Poor Righteous Teachers and all of them, that's when I got back from California. If you look at the height of pro-black rap, it was not in the 80s. It was towards the 90s. Think about it. The 80s was LL Cool J, Kool Moe Dee, and them. Watch this. Think about it. I was trying to pull up albums. There was no pro-black album that I could pull up for the 80s because I did a whole documentary about the 80s and I was not able to include rap because every rapper I was looking at was more towards the 90s. See, look, Public Enemy. Look what it say. 1987. 1987. So the pro-black rap was coming more towards the 90s. By you get to 87, hell, the 80s is almost over. Right? Let's see. See, look. Watch this. Watch this. Because it's the height of it. Poor Righteous Teacher. 1990. May 29, 1990. This is the height of black rap. This was the height of it. Everybody really came out because you had some groups, but they wasn't really pushing black like that. Not until Poor Righteous Teacher era. Boogie Down Productions, 1986. Stop the Violence, 1988. But You Must Learn wasn't until 1989. And when they first came out, it was just hip hop. They wasn't pushing nothing really black. They wasn't pushing nothing black. It was a little conscious. You know what I'm saying? Because Carol West One was talking about gangster stuff. You know what I'm saying? Talib, that's Black Moon. Black Moon. Is that what's their name? No, that's not Black Moon. Black. I forgot what the name of their group was. with Talib and because it wasn't no Talib. Talib was with Mos Def. Black Star. Yeah, it wasn't no Talib, it was Black Star. $1996. See what I'm saying? $1996, almost 2000. See what I'm saying? Queen Latifah, first album, 1989. See what I'm saying? The 90s. The 80s was reggae ran the 80s. Reggae ran the 80s. And Black Star wasn't really black. They was all that jazz. He wasn't really standing on nothing really. Black Gangstar wasn't talking about nothing black like that. He was talking in code. The real black ones was Public Enemy, KRS-One, Poor Righteous Teachers, Brand Nubians, Black Star a little bit, but like I said, all that's the 90s. Black hip hop is the 90s. It's the 90s. Look it up. The 80s was reggae. Because like I said, I did a whole presentation about when Pan-Africanism came, and I couldn't post no reggae. I couldn't find no reggae. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't find no reggae. X-Clan, first album, 1990. 1990. Arrested Development, that wasn't black conscious, that was weirdo music. Let's take a break. All that's 90s though. Look it up yourself. Y'all search it for y'all post that stuff. Because X-Clan was 1990s. Just like I said. X-Clan was 1990s. It was 90s. Black conscious rap was the 90s. The 80s was LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, Dougie Fresh. Facts. Y'all better stop y'all music game on. Let's take a break. So the reggae of the 80s inspired the black conscious rap of the 90s because it was in New York, and New York had a big Jamaican scene, and there was reggae was the ones that was selling all the paraphernalia. You know what I'm saying? So reggae, you know what I'm saying? We was the ones that was selling the rappers. I was the one selling. I was black. The rappers wasn't. I was the one that put this on the rappers. The rappers bought these from us. So when you see the rappers in those all in black clothes, they bought that from a generation that was before them. Okay, you understand? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So when the rappers came into the game, the rappers was emulating the rosters, the the ones that had the leftovers from the 60s. Because we was the ones from the 60s that's not old enough. So we was repping a little bit of that 60s movement. And then the rappers was like, Cabarets, one of them was like, our shorties. You know what I mean? Chris and them was like our shorties, and right? And then they was born off of reggae and the Nation of Islam. And the Nation of Islam was really the biggest, because reggae was big, but reggae didn't have no movement. It just was music. But Farrakhan had a movement. So in the 80s, when Farrakhan took over and had that first Saviors Day and took over, the 80s was the Nation of Islam was the biggest thing. Bigger than Nation of Gods and Earth, bigger than the Moors, bigger than the Hebrew Israelites. The biggest thing black in America in the 80s was Minister Louis Farrakhan and Nation of Islam. And reggae and Rasta was the entertainment for the black movement. So we played the music at the Pan-African Fest, at the African Liberation Celebration, at Kwanzaa, right? We was the entertainers for the black movement. That was my job. I played reggae. So I played reggae for the black events, and I sold merchandise for the young people to represent they was black, right? And that was the biggest Pan-Africanism got. But one reason it didn't get really big because the Nation of Islam wasn't Pan-Africans. So now by the time you go through the 90s and you get into the Sarnetta era, once again, Pan-Africanism ain't nothing, right? Y'all watch Sarnetta TV, that wasn't Pan-African. They got Hebrews on there. They got Kemetic. They got Nubians. They had whatever the hell, Polite. I think he was Nubian. So Pan-Africanism really, it was, once it didn't catch on in the 80s, that was it. Pan-Africanism never had a chance anymore. Think about it. There was not even enough Pan-Africans for Sarnetta to have a show. He had to bring religions on there. He had to bring religions on there. Said he was debating Polite. Polite wasn't no Pan-African. Polite was like a Nubian. During that Sarnetta era, Pan-Africanism wasn't nothing. Because you had a bunch of brothers that was Moors. But you really had a bunch of brothers that was from the Nation of Islam and a bunch of Hebrew Israelites. They dominated the Sarnetta era. And you had some brothers like teaching about Kemet. But Dr. Ben was old then and was sick, getting sick. We was trying to raise money for Dr. Ben. He was sick. Young Pharaoh wasn't no Pan-African. Said he stopped following young Pharaoh. He didn't dominate. He let the young bull dominate him. He really need to be quiet. He instead of him taking control, he doing all this barking. Pharaoh was the leader. Said he was a lieutenant. He wasn't no general. He was following young Pharaoh. He let young Pharaoh lead him off a cliff. Was gone. He been gone till recently. His career been damaged until recently trying to make a comeback. Said he been washed up. Ever since he went at the Nations, he been washed up. He been done. He ain't nobody no more. He been done. He was bigger back then than he is now. No, it was gold chains and African medallions. It was gold chains and African medallions. They went together. Tim, the gold chains introduced the African medallions. The gold chains introduced the African medallions. Facts. The African medallions wouldn't have been nothing without the gold chains. Watch. The gold chains what made the African medallions cool. Because the pro-black dudes, they didn't introduce the African medallions. They ain't the ones introduced that. Big Daddy Kane introduced that. I remember. Once Big Daddy Kane wore that, that's when everybody wanted them. Big Daddy Kane was the reason everybody started asking me, did I have them? I used to work at the reggae record shop. And when Big Daddy Kane came out with that medallion on, that's why everybody wanted them. It wasn't them pro-black dudes didn't push that. Listen, the Pan-Africans did not push that. I give you the real history. I don't give you. This is who pushed that. He had the red, gold, and green heart. And he's got 2 or 3 pictures with different ones on. This is when, after this, because the Jamaicans pushed it, but Big Daddy Kane at this time looked like a Jamaican. The Jamaicans was wearing the high top fade, and he was dressing a lot like the Jamaicans liked it. So when the Jamaicans seen him with the medallion on, everybody started coming to the record store I worked at. Everybody wanted the medallion, and then I jumped into business. I made thousands of dollars with medallions because I had like 20, 30 different types. I used to go down to Hollywood Live, where they shoot the Jimmy Kimmel show at, and just be selling medallions like crazy. It was the biggest thing in LA. I made a lot of money because you see how he got the red, gold, and green with the black? I had the queen that made it for me. I had her make me some red ones and some blue ones. So it was blue with the red, gold, and green Africa and heart, and red. So I was selling to the Crips and the Bloods. Yeah. Yeah, I'm one of the top entrepreneurs in the gang. I went and got red and blue ones. Anybody that was there and know me say, yeah, yep, I was the only one smart enough to do that. Because I knew the sister that made them. She lived up in Pasadena. And I said, make me some red ones and some blue ones. And man, listen, I sold so many, they got my phone number. They gave me their phone number, had me call them and pull up on the block. It was a set of Crips lived in South Central. And I think the leader on that block, he gave me his phone number. And then I called him saying I was coming. I pulled up and I had a trunk full of them. I never forget it. And he came out the house. He had that big, remember they had that big old cell phone, looked like a big old block. And he came out with that big ass cell phone and I opened my trunk and he seen all of them and he's like, hey, he here. Hey, he here. Hey, he here. And dudes just start coming out of all them houses. And I was like, I want this one. I want this one. And they was buying the leather hats from me because I sold Bobby Brown them hats. I dressed Bobby Brown and all of them. Bobby Brown manager bought that leather hat. Oh, girl. They bought all that stuff for me. I was dressing all the stars, all of the reggae stars, all the rappers. I was the one dressing them and selling them the clothes. These are all facts. I don't make up no lie. Because we had the big ones, we had the big hats, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was getting these custom made for the brothers with a lot of dreads, right? So if you had a lot of dreads, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know I like to wear green, see? I had mine custom made, right? I was selling these, right? So keep it real. Boom, what that say? Lion of Judah in New York. They went out of business because somebody robbed them and shot the place up. So I had Lion of Judah would custom make these for me. This one's mine. And this one's mine. Me out of Don Dada, And but I would sell. So I got the other kind. I would sell the flat tops like this, but I would sell the ones that Bobby Brown and them had too. You know what I'm saying? These are all custom made. So the brothers, a lot of the Rostas, I would go to their house and measure their head. And they say, I want a blue on mine. This blue and that blue together or whatever. Well, I wanted a red, gold, and green one. But I would get the short ones with the bib. That Bobby in them. And I would get like 2 boxes of them. And I would go to South Central and the gangs would wear them, the regular brothers, because once Bobby wore it, everybody wanted it. But let's get back to the point I'm trying to make is Pan-Africanism, that was it. That was the height of Pan-Africanism. But it didn't blow because it had to compete with Farrakhan. And because Farrakhan and them, right, Chuck D and them was leaning more towards Farrakhan, Professor Griffin, Chuck D. So the Nation of Islam had a more pull. Shout out to my boy Wallace. Wallace is like a childhood friend. He like 2 years younger than me. He went to school with my boy Chucky, and we'd be at Chucky basement back when they was in high school. But so the Nation of Islam, it was Pan-Africanism, but Islam was kind of, trumping that Griffin. Chuck D was really tied in with Islam. KRS-One, he was kind of like all over the place. Love's gonna get you and all that. You know what I'm saying? And then Brand Nubian, they was 5%ers. So after that era, when Pan-Africanism kind of got its biggest, then it fell off. But the key to Pan-Africanism was Winnie Mandela. And that's how Pan-Africanism got big with Soweto. And the Soweto uprising is what really popped off Pan-Africanism. So Pan-Africanism was popped off by Winnie Mandela, reggae, and roots. That's what popped off Pan-Africanism. This is real history. This is real. Said he was a baby. He don't know nothing. He was a baby. He was a baby. He don't know nothing about this. Roots came out in 1977. He ain't number, said he ain't number what, 50, 77, 87, 97, 2007, 2017. Yeah, he was a baby. He don't know nothing about no, he don't know this history right here. This is real history. This is what popped off Pan-Africanism. But it was heavy on the reggae side. So it was really heavy with the Trinidadians and the Jamaicans. And on the Black American side, it was more towards Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam and the Million Man March and all that. You feel me? So since that time, Pan-Africanism flopped. There's nobody can show you where Pan-Africanism was big since the 80s. Pan-Africanism been over. Because the Africans ain't Pan-Africans. So how you going to grow Pan-Africans when the Africans ain't Pan-Africans? They're not even Africans. They're Nigerian. They're Ethiopian. They ain't Africans. They don't identify as Africans. Right? So with the Pan-Africanism fell off. Right? Fell off. So when it fell off, it broke into a lot of little small weird pieces like RBG. Remember RBG? But RBG was only on Facebook. RBG wasn't outside. RBG was Facebook. I remember I was there. RBG didn't go nowhere. That fell off because it was Facebook. It was Facebook. That's what Dead President was repping RBG, remember? Pan-Africanism never been nothing. It had its best chance in the 80s. That was the best chance it had. Right behind Soweto and Mandela and all that. That was the best chance Pan-Africanism had. Today, Pan-Africanism has no chance at all. And Pan-Africanism never contributed nothing. Nothing became of it. No business, no nothing. Nothing became of Pan-Africanism. I sold stuff at Black Fest, but I made most of my money at Reggae Fest. I made way more money selling reggae and selling red, gold, and green than red, black, and green. Red, gold, and green was bigger than red, black, and green. Red, black, and green wasn't as big as the Rasta colors in the 80s and the 90s. That's a fact. I made most of my money at reggae shows. Pan-Africanism, Kwanzaa, African Liberation Day. Pan-Africanism wasn't nothing. That's a fact. I didn't make no whole lot of money with no red, black, and green stuff. I didn't. I made all my money with red, gold, and green. I sold some red, black, and green stuff at a couple. If I would have had to deal with Pan-Africanism, I would have went broke. I would have went broke. I made all my money with red, gold, and green. Facts. That's just how I made my money. I didn't make my money with red, black, and green. Red, black, and green wasn't nothing. Pan-Africanism wasn't nothing. Although Rasta included Pan-Africanism, but Rasta was mostly pushing Rastafari and Haile Selassie. in Ethiopia. It was a Pan-African type vibe, but Marcus Garvey wasn't as big as Haile Selassie. Marcus Garvey wasn't nobody compared to Haile Selassie. These are facts. Marcus Garvey was not as big as Haile Selassie. Nobody say Pan-African Garvey. They say Rastafari. And Rastafari is the name of Haile Selassie. When he got crowned, he changed his name from Ras to Farai to Haile Selassie. So I made all my money with red, gold, and green. I didn't make no whole lot of money with red, black, and green. Pan-Africanism was never big like that. Reggae was bigger than Pan-Africanism, and the Nation of Islam was bigger than Pan-Africanism by far. By far. No competition. So when you really actually look at Pan-Africanism, it never really been nothing. It had its best chances in the 80s. This is how I made my money, at reggae shows. Rest in peace to Tabby Diamond and Gold Tafari. They both passed away. See me outside getting money? You see them shoelaces behind Go Ahead? Red, gold, and green. Now, I had red, black, and green stuff, and I had red, gold, and green stuff. But I didn't sell as much. I didn't sell as much red, black, and green stuff as I sold Bob Marley shirts and Irie and One Love and reggae. Them shirts that said I had to have 10 Haile Selassie shirts. I had to have 5 Marcus Garvey shirts. But Marcus Garvey was selling under reggae. He wasn't selling under Pan-Africanism. That's a fact. Marcus Garvey was popular under reggae, not under Pan-Africanism. He was popular under Haile Selassie. Burning Spear made the song, No One Remembers, Oh Marcus Garvey. Reggae the one Bob Marcus Garvey back alive. Marcus Garvey was erased. Rasta the one re-resurrected Marcus Garvey and Pan-Africanism, Africa for the Africans. That came out the Rasta movement. That ain't come out no Pan-African movement. The Rasta movement pushed the Pan-African movement. The Pan-African movement didn't exist. The Pan-African movement was under Rasta. No Black Americans was pushing no damn Pan-African in the 80s. As a fact, no Black Americans was pushing no damn Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism was only being pushed, being associated with Marcus Garvey, and Marcus Garvey was associated with reggae. That all came through the Rasta movement. Because the Rasta was the one saying Africa for the Africans. Africa must be free by the year 1983. All the Pan-African songs was reggae. There was no Black American Pan-African movement. Didn't exist. Facts. The Pan-African movement was attached to the Rastafarians. Facts. Because me as a big Rasta, you know. So I might not know the thing, you know. So Pan-Africanism wasn't even standing on its own back then. Pan-Africanism was only standing in terms of being connected to Haile Selassie. That's it. Haile Selassie was and is way bigger than Marcus Garvey. Facts. Marcus Garvey not bigger than Rastafari. Rastafari is, Marcus Garvey is second. These brothers is Pan-Africans, but who's on that shirt? Haile Selassie on the shirt. What they got on? They got an Ethiopian flag. I'm trying to tell them. I'm telling them the facts. So when you got out of that era and you went into the next era, you went into rap, and you went into the rap era. And the rap era was like black consciousness. It wasn't Pan-African because Brand Nubians wasn't Pan-African. They was 5%ers. Chuck D was associating himself with the Nation of Islam. Professor Griff was associating himself with the Nation of Islam. Wasn't nobody associating himself with Pan-Africanism, but YZ is thinking of a master plan. Who's the man with the... He was pushing Pan-Africanism, but he didn't ever get no big, too big. That was like his biggest song. KRS-One was leaning towards Rasta. He was rolling with the Rastas. He was doing patois type stuff. Boom shot. KRS-One with Mad Lion. He had Mad Lion with him. So he was leaning towards Haile Selassie. He said in the song, Haile Selassie. He never said Marcus Garvey's name in no song. KRS-One said Haile Selassie. So now when you get to 2000, now it's like multiple stuff. So Pan-Africanism still ain't nothing. Because when you get to 2000, then you get to the Sarnetta in them era, man, you pushing Moors. The Hebrew Israelites was big. Seti wasn't pushing Pan-Africanism, he was pushing Kemet. Kemet ain't Pan-Africanism. Us Kemetic brethren, that's not Pan-Africanism. That's ancient Egypt. That's Egyptology. Egyptology is not Pan-Africanism. Facts. Seti was not pushing no Pan-Africanism. He was pushing Egyptology. Dr. Ben represents Egyptology, not no Pan-Africanism. Dr. Ben's books had nothing to do with Pan-Africanism. Man, let me tell you something. Dr. Ben had nothing to do with Pan-Africanism. Nothing. Nothing at all. It's a fact. Nothing. These are facts. Dr. Ben did not represent Pan-Africanism. Only one scholar represented Pan-Africanism. These are facts. And that's Chancellor Williams. This was the Pan-African book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, by Chancellor Williams. Facts. This was the red, black, and green book. This was the book we all read on Pan-Africanism. These is all facts. All facts. Can't no little boy tell me nothing. We had three main scholars in that league, and they all was in a different thing. We had Chancellor Williams. We had Dr. Ben, who did the Egyptian and broke down Kemet. And we had John Henry Clark that broke down like the way blacks live, like black society, how we live in America and what's going on with us in America. And this one with the dark glasses on, he the ones was a Pan-African. Dr. Ben was the Egyptologist. And John Henry Clark was like the black sociologist to deal with how we function socially in America and worldwide. That's a fact. You understand? Now, you ain't got no knowledge, brother, because those crosses and all that ain't got nothing to do with being FBA. So you got to go, what's your name, Black Man Lion? You got to go study, bro. Because FBA only goes back to the 1700s, meaning that I was the black person here when the country was founded. And so I could still be Kemetic back. But if you was Kemetic, or if you was anything, but if you was still here in the 1700s, then you're a foundational Black American. So you slow, bro. You don't got no knowledge, because foundational Black American ain't the same as Pan-African. Foundational Black American is based on citizenship, and African is based on DNA. So you stupid, bro. I'm not against Pan-Africanism. I'm saying Pan-Africanism ain't went nowhere. But Pan-Africanism and FBA are not opposites. Yeah, I would tell, yes, Kojo would definitely support FBA, because Kojo not stupid like you. FBA, anyway, bro, listen and learn. FBA is not the opposite of Pan-Africanism, right? So listen, Black Lion, I'm going to get you out of here. Now, do you want to listen, or do you just want me to get you the hell out of here? Because I got other people. Let me know if you want to listen. If you want to listen, say yes. If not, all right, listen. Black Lion, you have DNA. And that DNA might trace all the way back to Ethiopia or Egypt. Then slavery and all that happened, and you end up in the United States. So if you was in the United States when the country was founded and made America, right? If you're a Rasta in America, are you an American citizen, right? Yes, you're an American citizen. Being an American citizen has nothing to do with being a Rasta. Being a Jamaican citizen has nothing to do with being a Rasta. Foundational Black American is based on citizenship, bro, not lineage. It's our lineage back to how long we've been citizens. It's not our lineage back to our DNA. So foundational Black American is just our citizenship. It just depicts that we're the blacks was here since the country was built. So you could be a black was here since the country was built, and you could be Native American Black. You could be originally from Haiti. You understand? But if you were one of the black people here when the country was formed, when they built the foundation of the country, you are a foundational black American. Now, if you're a Jamaican that came here and became an American citizen, you're an American citizen, but you're not a foundational black American. You're just a black American. So a black American would be if a brother came here from Nigeria and got citizenship, he is an American citizen. Now, he can identify himself as a Nigerian American, but foundational black Americans, because of slavery, we don't have a specific country to identify. So that's why we identify as black. Right? So because we can't say, I can't say I'm a Congo American, Congolese American. I can't say I'm an Ethiopian American because through slavery, they sold your mother over here, sold your father over here, sold your granddaddy over here. You understand? I never mentioned race. When did I say anything about race? African is not your race. African would be your DNA. Your race would be black. There is no African race, brother. So you don't know the difference between race, nationality. You don't know the difference. Race is a white construct. So your race is Hispanic, black, Asian. You see what I'm saying, bro? That would be your race. Your DNA would be African. Your citizenship would be American. My citizenship is American, but foundational American means I'm one of the Americans when they built America. That's all that means. That means we the blacks was here from the beginning, 1776. We fought in the Revolutionary War. So a white person that was here then would be a foundational white American. A white person that came in the 1900s would be a white American, but they would not be a foundational white American unless they was here at the beginning of the foundation of the country. So foundational just points out who was here from the beginning. That's all that is. We're saying we're the blacks that been here since the country started. We're not saying what type of blacks we are. That's why SETI need to listen to me. He don't know what he's talking. He doesn't even know what it is. He said, how can I be Egyptian and FBA? See, he don't know what he's talking about because the Egyptian is my DNA. That's not my citizenship. My citizenship is FBA. He said I can't be an Egyptian DNA and American citizen. But he said he's Egyptian, he's an American citizen. He's an American citizen. SETI is an American citizen. If you move to Nigeria and you get citizenship, you are a Nigerian citizen. But that don't mean you're Nigerian DNA. Of course, they're confused about FBA. It makes sense they're confused about FBA because we're the only people don't know where we're from. So a lot of brothers don't respect the fact that Black Americans was in slavery and sold from person to person and don't know who we are. So that's why we Black. Because we were sold. So that's why we call ourselves Black, because we were sold. But the reason we call ourselves foundational Black American, because you might be a Black American, but you might be a Jamaican Black American that just became an American in 1975. And technically, if you're a Jamaican and you got American citizenship, technically your race is Black and you're American. So the reason we're foundational Black American to separate us from other Black people that are Americans. We're saying we're the original American Blacks that was here when the country started. It has nothing to do with our DNA. So when Seti say, I don't know what I am, he's stupid. He don't know what I am. I know exactly what I am. That has nothing to do with me being Kemetic. Kemet goes back 4,000, 5,000 years. FBA goes back to the 1700s. You can be both. You who you are before America was founded and you who you are after America was founded. FBA is not your DNA. If I'm Kemetic, that's my DNA. Your DNA are traced back to West Africa. Your DNA are traced back to East Africa. FBA is my citizenship. No, they are confused because it is confusing that they need people like me to break it down. If Seti watched this, he'll be like, oh, he don't know. And with all due respect, Seti don't know. He think FBA is a group. He don't understand that it's very important to be FBA, Foundational Black America, so you can get your reparations. If you want to get reparations for slavery in America, don't you got to prove that you was one of the slaves in America? Can you get reparations for slavery in America if you say you Egyptian? No. Was your great-grandmama Egyptian? No. Your great-great-great-grandma was a slave in the United States. Or your great-great-great-great-granddad, or a freedman in the United States. Either way it goes, they were in the United States. They're United States citizens. Seti's family is in the U.S. Census if they've been here. He is an American citizen. Now, what type of American is Sarasun Seti? He would be a foundational Black American citizen. Not DNA. Every time he says Egyptian, he's talking about his DNA. He's not talking about his citizenship. He has a U.S. driver's license. He is an American citizen. He has a United States birth certificate. So, if he got a U.S. birth certificate, is he mixed up? Why you don't got no Kemetic birth certificate? Y'all tell Seti I said, why you ain't got no Egyptian birth certificate? People think FBA is like represents your DNA. When the reality is people with FBA, I'm not pure African. I'm not African. I'm not African. I'm a hybrid. I'm not African. I got some African. My great-grandmother is a Sioux. My mother's grandmother is Sioux. Her husband was African. My father's side is African, but my mother's side is Sioux and African. FBA just means you've been here, that's it. Our FBA mean lineage. We tracing our lineage to mean we been here. So all you black people that been here, if your family been here, you are a foundational black American, meaning you been here since they built this place. That's what that means. That you've been here since they built it. We know black people made the cell phone and all that, but we want our reparations. That's it. Always remember, your nationality has nothing to do with your DNA. You got 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-great-grandparents, 32 great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, and 64 great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. You know who all 64 of them people is? No, you don't. You barely know who your 8 great-grandparents is. Barely. Some of you don't even know who your 4 grandparents is. So how you going to say you an Egyptian? You might got some Egyptian DNA, but unless you know your 32 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, you just talking. That's why we get reparations back to the 1800 census. Because once you pass the 1800 census, nobody knows who you are. You all have been in America. The furthest they can trace who you are back is to the 1800 census. Others don't understand how serious slavery was and how, y'all know the story about the man that was a slave, him and his wife, and they took his wife and sold her like 400 miles away, and he walked and found her. So it's like, don't be talking about slavery when you don't understand how traumatic it was. They took sons and daughters, and you in Tennessee, and sell your daughter to somebody in North Carolina, sell your son to somebody to take him to California. How the hell you know who you are? So I'm trying to understand how you a historian, but you don't know recent history about slavery. You don't know that we've been robbed of our language. Then you talk about Malcolm X. Malcolm X told you we've been robbed of our language, robbed of our culture, robbed of everything of who we are. That's why we had to create new names. That's why my name's El-Aton. I had to create a new name. I didn't want to be Stewart. I'm not representing no slave name. I'm really standing on business. My children ain't carrying that burden. My children was not born with the slave name my daddy and granddaddy. No. I freed them from that. My children ain't got to go change that. My sons ain't got to change their name. I had to change, man. But I freed my sons. People like, well, you changed your name. I freed my sons. Why should I make them wait to do it? And when I changed my name, my father was pissed. He said, boy, when they look into the family tree, they ain't going to know who you are. I said, Daddy, they're going to know exactly who I am. They're going to know you was the last slave. And I was the first king of the family. And he looked at my mom and said, Bessie, what we going to do with this boy? But then I told him, I said, but it's still going to make you look good, Daddy, because they're going to say, Randolph's son, Michael, he didn't want no slave name. Oh, he changed his name to El-Aton, and that's going to go down in the family tree. That Stewart, I ain't Martha Stewart. And for those that don't want to know, I didn't pick my name from Kemet. I picked my name from the Bible. I picked my name from the Bible. I picked my name from Genesis, where it say Pharaoh Ramesses. When they said they gave Joseph the best land in all of Egypt, they gave him the land of Pharaoh, they gave him the land of Ramesses. And the Bible always said Pharaoh, Pharaoh. So I didn't take my name from Egypt. I took my name from the Bible. I took my name from the Bible. Said he's younger than me. Back in the days when I used to teach, I had to teach in a way where black people could understand. So I couldn't say Al-Kebulan. Because every time I tell them we from Al-Kebulan, what they say, y'all? What is that? And then what I got to say? Africa. So why keep saying Al-Kebulan and I still got to say Africa? Because words is communication. And you're supposed to say whatever you have to say to communicate. So if they know Africa, then you say Africa. So for y'all that got your Bibles, you turn to Genesis 47:11, right? And when you turn to Genesis 47:11, it say, and Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramesses, as Pharaoh had commanded him. So that's why I got my name from Genesis 47:11, Pharaoh Ramesses. Because when I was teaching people, and back when Seti was a baby and I was teaching, I used that when I was talking to the people. So they would say, why you call yourself Pharaoh Ramesses? You know, black people as Christians. So when I show them my name in the Bible and show them that this was the land that they gave to the Hebrews, and it was the best land in Egypt, I could be teaching. You understand? I could be teaching my people. Because this is the love in the Bible when the Egyptians and the black Hebrews got along. But they always promote the division in the Bible. They never promote the fact that Pharaoh and Joseph was cool. And that the Hebrews came and lived there. And they gave them the best land, the land of Ramesses. They always promote the beef. But the beef wasn't with that Pharaoh. The beef with Moses was with Seti. I didn't go there, but I could have. Yeah, it was Seti. And Set is the devil. Set I am the devil. Sunset. Set tripping. Set is the devil. You said, I'm Set. Set was evil. Set is the root word for Satan. Set ain't no righteous name. Seti not no righteous name. Seti was evil. Seti was evil. Seti was beefing with the black Hebrew Israelites. He one of the ones that messed everything up. The reason the brothers and sisters had to leave. He was the one hating on Akhenaten because Akhenaten's mother was Joseph's sister. Yeah. Akhenaten's mother was Joseph's sister, and she the one taught Akhenaten that it's just one God. He learned that from his Hebrew Israelite mother. And that's why the evil Egyptians like Seti, that's why they hated him, because he was like, all these gods, we don't need all these gods. It's only one God. Because his mother was Hebrew Israelite, she taught him it's one God. And the Aton, and the Aton means the way the sun shine on everybody, that's the way God is for everybody.